Decisions, decisions, decisions. How to make good choices today so you don't cry tomorrow. Preface. Where are you going? Most of us have a destination that we want to get to. A destination that promises happiness and fulfilment. It might be a vision of your future that you have nurtured since childhood, or it might be a future filled with experiences that you have tasted along your journey, which you'd like to embrace consistently or in abundance. Whether it is a personal vision or a professional goal, you are likely to desire a life where you feel rewarded and in control of navigating that life to a predictable outcome. If you have a clear vision, then you will need to make small decisions daily and significant decisions periodically to ensure you land there safely. Are you where you want to be? If we reflect for a moment on what we wanted to achieve for ourselves 1 to 5 years ago, I doubt we could confidently say we are in perfect alignment of that. Somewhere along the way, the decisions we have made have pivoted that destination. There is a continuous and natural evolution of self that changes our wants and needs. What makes us happy in any season is dependent on what our values and beliefs are and what we seem desirable in that moment in time. For example, someone who was focused on accumulating wealth might suddenly experience health issues that changes their perspective on what is important to them. Their mindset might change, and their happiness might lean towards achieving fulfillment through fundamentals: good physical and mental health, peace of mind, friendship, joyful experiences, and giving back to others. Material possessions and significance might take a step back. The point is, our primary drivers change. And unless we acknowledge that and have periodic checkpoints and check-ins with ourselves to understand where we want to go and who we want to be, we will inevitably end up on autopilot. You might wake up one day and wonder why you have lost motivation for the thing that once gave you life, the thing which is now draining your energy, and you think, I don't want to do this anymore, or I don't want to be this person anymore. Life is not linear. We carry a combination of conscious beliefs as well as some unconscious conditionings that can prevent us from living life on our terms. Often our job choices, relationships, and other circumstances are a result of other people's preferences for us. Our desire to please often presents problems in our decision-making and makes it hard to distinguish what we aspire for ourselves versus what we desire to appease or please a loved one or community. Discover who you are. If you feel like you are living your life for anyone else but yourself, then you should probably take this time to reevaluate your beliefs. Why? Because beliefs govern your behavior and should not be mistaken for objective truths. They are decisions you have made along the way, and they can be changed. Ask yourself, what do I really want? And what are the areas of my life that I am not living according to my ideas? Who am I really? Who do I really want to be? And am I giving it my best shot to become that person? Maslow's theory of self-actualization is out of scope for this book, but in summary, it is the result of self-awareness and ownership for fulfillment. It is about having a deep understanding of who you are and what your strengths and weaknesses are, and how you can grow to realize your full potential. Only when you have done this self-assessment can you then make decisions that lead to growth and happiness. Quote, "Someone's opinion of you does not need to become your reality, nor does a negative opinion you hold of yourself need to become your identity." Write new chapters. Once you have accepted that your values and perspectives might change, then you need to reevaluate your goals. If you do not, you will continue to dwell on ideas that no longer serve you. Worst case, you will continue to make decisions daily that move you towards a future that you no longer really desire. Your subconscious will drive you towards familiar patterns of thinking. Quote, "The present is where your future is being created. But I don't know where I want to go." You don't need to know exactly where you want to be in 3 years' time to make good and informed decisions today. Destinations don't need to be things you can touch. They don't need to be places defined by physical or material possessions. Destinations can be a state of mind, the way you want to feel, or the way you want to make others feel. Regardless of whether your destination is driven by wealth accumulation or by inner fulfillment, you will still need to define the habits, behaviors, and actions you need to choose daily to achieve that outcome. If your future self is based on how you want to feel, then you can ask yourself how you might feel every time you are faced with a decision. If you take a step back from the long-term destination and look at the present moment, you will see that every day, and even every hour, has a desired outcome. If there is one thing you take away from this book, it is understanding that it is the accumulation of decisions you make throughout your day that will define where you will eventually end up. Making decisions based on where you want to be in 3 years from now is great if you have already identified the needle-pushing actions that you have to take to get there. But just as an accumulation of good decisions will stand you in good stead for the future you are aspiring to, so too will an accumulation of poor decisions take you down a path of unhappiness. This book is for anyone who is at a crossroads or is feeling paralysed from indecision. It is for those who are scared to make a commitment to a choice, for those who are fearful of making the wrong decision. It is also for those who are blessed with many choices who suffer from possibility blindness. If you fall into the latter, you are very lucky. Choice is a blessing and is a sign of abundance. My vision for you is to gain a stronger sense of self and have confidence in the decisions you are making. Let these tools drive and motivate you. They can be applied to all areas of your life, including career, business, relationships, and health. And finally, before you use any of the guidance, mental models, or systems outlined in this book, please take time to understand what your ideal life looks like and how you want to feel every day when you wake up and every night when you lay your head on your pillow. That way, no matter what model you use, when you pose this simple question to yourself, the answer will help steer you in the right direction. If I choose this option, does it move me closer to my end goal? Introduction. Every day, we are consumers of an unconscionable amount of information, consciously and through addictive behaviors driven by algorithms. Much of this information does not add value to us in any way, but serves to influence our beliefs and desires. This information overload is the kryptonite to clarity. Friends and family are constantly vying for our time. Work commitments encroach on our well-being, and we are bombarded with products and services we don't need but are convinced we want. Every single day, we are faced with conflicting options. In the moment, there are pros and cons to every choice. and the choice with the immediate benefit is often the most favorable option. We tend to choose the options that make us feel comfortable in the moment, and options that require the least expenditure of mental and physical energy. The world we live in is unpredictable, and our ability to make good decisions has an exceptional impact on our mental health, as well as our ability to be successful in our personal and professional lives. So let's look at the multitude of options we ponder daily. What should I eat? Do I indulge because I deserve it? Or do I choose to fuel my brain and body with the right type of energy? What should I wear? In my experience, one of my biggest time wasters and why I'm sometimes late. Should I go to the gym? If I skip today, I can always double up the next session or go an extra day next week. Who should I spend time with this weekend? My friends? Which friends? My family? My value add relationships? My partner? Should I look for another job? I'm not happy or fulfilled, but it's paying the bills. Can I be bothered to update my CV and write cover letters? I really want to start my passion project. Can I afford to leave my job for my side hustle? Do I have enough time to juggle both? Do I actually have what it takes? Should I leave my partner? But I'm not good on my own. They aren't my forever person, but they will do for now. And surely being in a relationship is better than being alone. I've added 20 items to my shopping basket on Amazon, /ASOS, /Zara. What should I take out? I know I'm going to have to package it all up and go to the post office to return it anyway. Does any of this sound familiar? While some of these options don't feel life-threatening, what actions you decide to take for each one will fundamentally impact the quality of your life in the future. Like you, I have come to many crossroads throughout my life, in my career, my entrepreneurial journey, and of course, in my relationships. It was in my 20s that I realized how many days, weeks, and even months I had lost to indecision, churning over my feelings, going back and forth in my mind, feeling anxious, fearful, and overwhelmed. On reflection, I learned that most of my anxiety came from fear of the unknown, worrying about events and outcomes that hadn't even happened yet. I felt out of control in situations where I couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel, or didn't know how to make the right choice in a potentially life-changing situation. The word worry translates as a divided mind in ancient Greek. That constant noise which comes into your mind as multiple streams of thoughts, thoughts that are often contradictory and which pull you in different directions, can be crippling for your productivity and can be a distressing experience. Worrying does not assist in finding clarity and can paralyze you into a state of indecision. In extreme cases, feeling out of control can be a slippery slope into depression. Once I realized the negative impact my indecisiveness was having on my body and my mind, I started to investigate ways I could feel confident about making the right choices and stop wasting my time on the wrong things and the wrong people. I became fascinated with finding systems that took the emotion out of the process, that allowed me to pass all the information and output it into something useful. My journey of intentful decision making began. When you know how to cut through the noise, you can feel confident that no matter how challenging the situation, you will eventually end up on the right path. How do you currently make your decisions? Quote, "You get further in life by avoiding repeated stupidity than you do by striving for maximum intelligence." Charlie Munger. If you don't currently use any systems to navigate your decisions, then how do you move forward when presented with a choice? Do you follow your intuition and listen to your gut? Do you choose the path of least resistance? Are you influenced by societal and cultural norms and choose to follow the path of "I should"? Or do you roll the dice and hope for the best? Following your gut. Intuition is our greatest gift, yet we often ignore it. I spent a significant time in my 30s beating myself up for not following my gut. I'm sure you can relate to the feeling when something goes pear-shaped and you say, "Oh my God, I knew this was going to happen. I should have listened to my gut." And in truth, you can pinpoint the moment in time when you second-guessed yourself and had a feeling in the pit of your stomach, knowing that you might regret the option you were considering. That intuitive and niggling feeling that you might be making a bad decision is familiar to us all. It can be hard to know the difference between fear, excitement, and intuition. From a physiological perspective, fear and excitement are caused by the same chemicals and can manifest in the same way. Fear is often seen as a blocking emotion. But if you spend some time unpacking what you are afraid of, you can work on overcoming your limiting beliefs, and you might find that the fear was unwarranted. Fun fact: your stomach is considered your second brain, and the enteric nervous system is a mesh-like network of neurons that lines the entire digestive tract. It causes a sensation of nervous butterflies or a pit in your stomach as one of our physiological stress responses. Look at fear as a blessing and as an opportunity for you to grow. Ask yourself if you would choose the path that most frightens you if you knew you wouldn't fail on that journey. Back to the niggling feeling. What if that niggling feeling is in fact your intuition telling you that you're making the wrong choice? The problem is that a lot of us are disconnected from our bodies. This seems to be a growing phenomenon where one feels out of touch with their spirit, so is unable to feel or articulate our emotions clearly. It is often a result of fatigue, anxiety, or stress, without being able to attribute it to any one thing. If you have become disconnected to the nuanced shifts in your body, you are missing out on valuable information. To truly understand and listen to your body, you need to learn how to reconnect with it. Noticing what is happening in your body is a skill you can practice. Exercise. Listening to your body. How to reconnect to your intuition. Slow down. Close your eyes. Place the opportunity, idea, person, or situation that you are considering in the forefront of your mind. Now imagine saying yes to the opportunity or agreeing to move forward with a thing, idea, or person. In the nanosecond, you ask yourself the question: do you feel yourself expand or contract? You should be looking for a tiny micro movement within you. Expansion might feel like lightness, joy, excitement, or fun. You almost perceive your body moving forward in space slightly. Contraction will feel like dread or heaviness, almost like gravity is pulling you down. In my experience, it almost always causes a noisy mind and a feeling of discomfort. Sometimes the opportunity or situation might feel like a good idea on paper. It ticks all of the boxes, and on paper, you should say yes to it. But something inside you is saying no. This is your body's way of telling you this might not be the right path, and it's worth using an additional mental model to walk through other potential outcomes of making that choice. This exercise is an example of mindfulness. Being mindful will help you slow down and manage stress. Listening to your body is the oldest and most tested way to seek guidance on the correct path. Learn to calibrate your intuition through practice. Side note: I believe that sometimes the niggling feeling is just wisdom. If you are about to make a decision that has been proven historically to not be in your best interests, then it is your body's way of tapping into your data stores and surfacing evidence. For example, going back to an abusive ex, choosing to make someone else happy at the expense of your own feelings, spending money when you don't have the financial means, and a host of other choices where you should know better. These are clear-cut examples of your gut being wise, and you should not ignore it. Avoiding the path of should. Many people are guided by the path of should. They replace want to with should do, and they are influenced heavily by what other people think they should do. Societal pressures and influences are the guilty party here, and often dictate how we should fit in. This can lead to us seeking approval for our choices externally. We can also fall prey to being lazy-minded, choosing to pass the responsibility and accountability of the decisions we make to someone else, like a parent or spouse. This is one of the many ways we give up our power and lose our agency. People-pleasing is more commonly presented in women than men, and they might prioritize others over themselves. If you are currently living a life serving other people and are putting them first, you are telling yourself that other people's feelings and experiences are more important than your own. And other people liking or accepting you is more important than your own fulfillment. As a result, you are more likely to become reactive rather than being proactive when faced with your own dilemmas, and might choose to firefight other people's life decisions rather than your own. If you can identify with this personality type, you should seek further guidance on the numerous negative consequences. This is out of scope for this book, but you can research the following. Sociotropy: being overly concerned with pleasing others and or earning their approval. Thinking about why you choose to people please as a way to maintain relationships. Learning how to set healthy boundaries. Learning how to overcome the fear of rejection that comes from disappointing others. Learning how to build confidence. Your self-esteem and fulfillment are fundamentally tied to you having autonomy over your life. Considering the ripple effect of your decisions. Every choice you will make will have tentacles to other areas of your life in ways you probably haven't even thought about yet. When it comes to making decisions for medium and long-term outcomes, you must remember that every choice has interconnected downstream consequences. There is a real phenomenon whereby we see our future selves as other people, and therefore we also see our future problems as belonging to those other people. Being able to draw on your past self to guide your current self into the future is called self-continuity. And it is a positive resource and makes it easier to apply strategies for decision making. It is important to learn how to internalize your future self as part of your present self. We will cover some examples of how to do this in the regret minimization framework a little later. Chapter: Decisions, Decisions, Decisions. Quote: Be wise today so you don't cry tomorrow. Making decisions that serve you. The good news is that you are a human being. This means that your mind is an equipped problem-solving machine. Humans have an infinite creative ability that has led to incredible developments in every area of our society: technology, science, arts, architecture, medicine. The list goes on. I believe that the only limits to your creativity come from our limiting beliefs of what is possible. So, in offering you solutions to your decision-making debacles, I would like to focus on how to remove the cognitive flaws that impact your choices. We already talked about the power of intuitive decision-making by following your internal wisdom. So now let's look at how you can make better, informed choices using systems and models that allow you to park your emotional responses and instead use frameworks to actively resist each habit. Being aware of your bad habits is not enough to improve your decision making. This is where mental models and systems come into play and will help you avoid unnecessary mistakes, build self-respect, and begin to take back agency in your life. This is the key to a successful life. Mental models, processes, and systems. Cutting through the complexity. Quote: Foolproof systems don't take into account the ingenuity of fools. Jean Brown. Before you can use any method to outline options and find a solution, you need to define your problem in detail. Without this, you will not be able to make an informed decision. So let's get some clarity on the jargon. Processes. All the things you need to do to execute a system efficiently. Systems. The overall thing you are looking to implement to successfully achieve the desired outcome. Mental model. A framework for thinking that helps optimize systems and get the most out of them to make better decisions. Mental models have been around a long time, and they provide a way of thinking that helps you break down, simplify, and solve complex problems. The idea behind mental models is that the world operates in accordance with a finite set of rules and patterns. Once you can understand them, you can see through the complexity of a problem and make better decisions without needing all the detail and information up front. But first, quote, when you combine the creative genius of your mind with clarity of thought, you will be ready to solve the most complex of problems. The following areas need to be considered whenever we are faced with multiple options and paths: emotions, values and beliefs, bias, and binary thinking. You also need to consider whether the decision affects your short-term, medium-term, or long-term lifestyle. 1. Put your emotions into perspective. Idea 1. Put yourself in someone else's shoes. Imagine what someone else, a friend, or someone you respect would do. What decision would they make in your place, and why? Sometimes the solution is not looking at a situation in a different way, but through a different lens. Take a few moments to see the world through their eyes. What would they see if they were faced with your problem or decision? What advice would they give you? What action might they take? Whilst research has shown that this isn't always accurate, as there is a risk of projecting, it does help with creative brainstorming. Recently, I have looked at my deliberations as belonging to someone else. Then I looked at what advice I would have given them if they had come to me. The right choice became oddly clear to me straight away, as I found myself removing all emotion from the situation and looking at what made the most sense. Because it was my problem, I was overthinking it and adding emotional colour to it that was unhelpful. 2. Get comfortable with your values and beliefs. Quote, "The consequences of standing firm in your own beliefs will have less detrimental impacts to your future well-being than being a puppet to someone else's." If you are emotionally wrought by the decision-making process, then you might be torn between one or more values. Take time to ensure that the values you stand by are not influenced by your culture, society, or friends and family. Your values need to be aligned to your own wants and needs. I know that this is sometimes easier said than done, but in most cases, the consequences of standing firm in your own beliefs will have less detrimental impacts to your future well-being than being a puppet to someone else's. Idea 2. Create a stop doing list. I love this technique. Imagine you get 2 phone calls. One tells you that you've won £20 million, and the other tells you that you have 10 years left to live. Create 3 columns on a piece of paper with the headings Stop, Continue, and Start. Ask yourself, for each option, what would I want to spend my time doing in those 10 years that are meaningful to me? What would I love to stop doing? What would I love to start doing? You can then draw the conclusion that what you say you would start or keep doing is high value to you, and what you would stop doing offers you the least value. At a minimum, it will help you identify areas or ways in which you are wasting your time. At best, it will help make you question your life. I'm only joking. It will make you think about new passions to explore. 3. Be careful of confirmation bias. Confirmation bias is a subconscious behavior that causes you to look for and favor information that validates your existing beliefs and ignore positive information that supports your non-preferred, unbiased options. Because your beliefs strengthen your convictions, you will double down on what you already believe to be true. Making decisions is a highly emotional process. To get back to a sense of equilibrium quickly, we often make decisions towards what is familiar. This is an example of how we resist change, and more often than not, what we really need is change. This resistance, combined with wanting to avoid loss, makes us fearful of losing what we are accustomed to, what is familiar to us, and what we currently have. The result? We don't make significant life changes. Idea 3. Don't align to what's familiar, the status quo. Here's how to avoid confirmation bias. 1. Look for information that contradicts your existing beliefs. It's tempting to type phrases into Google that align with what you are looking for. Google the opposite search terms and statements. 2. Look for objective information. Statistics from a reputable source is a good first step, but check for sample size of recipients, as these pesky stats can be misleading. 3. Stop thinking in binary. Research in psychology tells us that when we are faced with large amounts of information, we think in binary terms to be efficient. It's a cognitive shortcut, and we use it to expedite the thinking process. We must remember that there are never just two options. It's rarely ever an either or situation. Idea 4. Brainstorm multiple options with a backup option. Problem solving is a creative process, and for this, you need the right mindset and right environment to brainstorm. You must be in a calm and relaxed state to be creative. This is the key to being positive and open to different perspectives and ideas. Like many things in life, you can have brainstorming sessions on your own or with other people. The basics of brainstorming. 1. Time box the brainstorming process. 2. Put your mobile in another room. It's a fact that having your phone within reach, whether you pick it up or not, cognitively impairs you. You continuously think about what's happening on there and it interrupts your flow. 3. Close tabs in your browser that you are not using so you don't flick about and get distracted. The process of brainstorming. 1. Be clear about the problem or question you want to address. 2. Define the objective. How many solutions or options do you want? Do you want just one so you can execute it immediately? 3. Consider the context. 4. Focus on ideas. 5. Get specific. 6. Share your ideas with a confidant. Fun fact. Research states that if you put limitations into creative problem solving, you generate more creative solutions. Why? Because you don't end up following your intuition. If you put a time or money limit on the options, then you're forced to think outside the box. Chapter: The Mental Models. I'd like to break these down into models that can be used to help with decision-making over different timescales. Immediate, short-term and medium-term, and long-term. 1. Immediate. Mental Model 1. Use the Eisenhower matrix for immediate decisions. The Eisenhower matrix is great for day-to-day decisions. 1. Make a 2x2 grid with its axis labeled important and urgent. Categorize your daily tasks into the 4 quadrants and prioritize them in this order: important and urgent, important but non-urgent, unimportant but urgent, unimportant and non-urgent. When making decisions like, what should I eat or what should I wear? 2 decisions that in my lifetime have caused undue stress and lost me countless hours. Then you need to apply systems. What should I eat? Consider meal preps, doing your food shop on a Sunday, writing out what you plan to eat daily, and preparing your meals in advance is an actual system that will save you time and money. No last-minute takeouts or scrolling through a million recipes you will never cook. What should I wear? Put out the clothes you plan to wear the night before. Limit the cognitive drain first thing in the morning when you'd rather not be thinking at all. I can't count the times I have spent 30 minutes or more trying on clothes when I have a deadline to leave the house. The result is a bed full of clothes I must put away later, and me being late. There is a reason why Steve Jobs donned a uniform, a black turtleneck t-shirt, Levi's 501 jeans, and New Balance sneakers throughout his tenure at Apple and to major events. 2. Short-term and medium-term. Everyday decisions and medium-term decisions tend to be helped by considering the following. 1. Prioritization. What or who should I put first? What areas should I spend most of my time? 2. Allocation. How much time, attention, and resource should I spend on a particular thing or person? Mental Model 2. Use ICE for short-term decisions. For prioritization, the ICE model works really well. 1. List the options that need prioritizing and score each on 3 variables using a scale of 1 to 10. Impact. Rate the positive impact to your life if this option succeeds. Confidence. How confident are you that you would succeed if you attempted this option? Easiness. How easy would it be to pursue this option in terms of your energy and time? 2. Add the 1 to 10 scores together for each variable and divide by 3 to get your average. 3. Repeat this exercise for each option you're considering. 4. Rank all the options by their scores. The options with the highest total values should be given priority over the others. This is a great exercise for business decisions when you are considering marketing projects to pursue and other decisions that have multiple paths to get there but require a specific output. Mental Model 2. The Pareto Principle. 80-20 Rule. BIN. Mental Model 2. The Pareto Principle. 80-20 Rule. The Pareto Principle works really well for me when I'm trying to decide where to allocate my resources, my time, my money, or my energy. The Pareto Principle states that 80% of your output comes from the top 20% of your inputs. So, to maximize return on investment, ROI, you should spend more time on the 20% of inputs. For example, when looking at your friendships, you might find that 80% of the feel-good factor or other emotional value, mental health, support, advice, etc., comes from just 20% of your friends. So why would you not choose to strengthen those relationships and drop some of the rest? And when it comes to your productivity, 80% of your procrastination comes from 20% of your distractions. So remove those distractions from arm's reach and reduce your indulgences. You can set rules for how often you use your phone and go on social media. Try keeping the TV off when you're concentrating and leave your iPad in another room. If you have a noisy, demanding pet, put her in a comfortable room for a couple of hours whilst you have to concentrate, or choose to work elsewhere. 3. Long term. Regret minimization. Consider future feelings. Remind yourself that future you needs to be fulfilled too, and ask yourself how you might feel about your decision at various points in the future. Jeff Bezos openly talks about regret minimization, and the choices he has made using this model just might be the reason we continue to line his pockets. Model: the 10-10-10 test. This is how the 10-10 test works. 1. Write down one of your options. 2. Imagine you have made your decision. Think about how you would feel about your decision in 10 minutes, 10 months, and 10 years from now. If you think you will be positive about those options after each of those timeframes, then it is a viable option. Note: be careful not to project your current state of mind. As part of this process, I find it useful to do a bit of mental time travel by looking at previous examples and how past decisions have affected my present situation and how they might have influenced my potential future state. Model: regret minimization. The regret minimization model says that you should make life decisions based on prioritizing projects you'd most regret not pursuing when you are old and are reflecting on your life. This is how it works. 1. Sit down and close your eyes. 2. Project yourself to age 80 and think about what you wished you could have tried, even if there was a possibility of failure. 3. Write down your list. 4. Prioritize the list based on what you would regret most. This should help you minimize the number of regrets and optimize your choices for long-term fulfillment. Remember when I said that your choices have ripple effects, that you should consider the downstream consequences of any knee-jerk decision? Well, The Great Mental Models Volume 1 by Shane Parrish and Rhiannon Boobin talks about what you need to consider when making potentially life-changing decisions, and works really well for considering potential ripple effects. It states you should consider the consequences, consider the chances, and consider the possibilities. Idea 1. Consequences. Think ahead and try and predict an unwanted outcome. Example 1. You might have a strong desire for money right now. Say you need it for your startup. It would enable you to start building, hire some people, and get marketing underway. But wait, did you consider the consequences of receiving said funding? For example, the expectations of you to meet demands not explicitly outlined, giving up some control, and increasing the risk of making choices to bring in revenue that might contradict your vision or mission. Example 2. You have set a goal to lose £3 by the end of the month. You're working hard and the biscuit tin is calling your name. You get up and walk over to it, sheepishly knowing that you should not be having one. You know that eating the biscuit will require you to burn unwanted calories. But that isn't the only consequence. Have you thought about the energy spike and consequent energy crash you will feel 20 minutes later? Your brain will go foggy, and you won't be able to concentrate on your work. Physiologically, you'll be craving to get up and have more sugar to compensate. Think through all the repercussions of your actions. Idea 2. Chances. Considering the chances of something happening helps you identify which possibilities are likely to happen. This comes down to a game of probability. Example 3. You need to decide between two career roles. You might put the following considerations on your checklist. 1. Higher salary. 2. Potential for pay increase after year 1. 3. Potential for promotion. 4. Potential for shorter working hours. 5. Great company culture. 6. Opportunity to develop new skills. 7. Opportunity to meet influential people. Now think about what are the chances of each of these statements being true. 1. Against each of the items on your checklist, question what the probability of it happening is. Some will be a given, for example, if the salary is known and agreed up front, but meeting influential people and getting a promotion is not a given. 2. Before you make any decisions, ask explicit questions to your potential new employer. 3. Reach out to people in the organization on LinkedIn to find evidence for your assumptions. For example, you could ask, how many networking or company events are there every year? How collaborative is the culture? What does the path to promotion look like? How long has your boss been in his current role? Do they normally promote contractors, or would I need to be a permanent employee to be considered? Idea 3. Possibilities. Using example 3, what else could happen if you didn't take either of the roles available to you? What other opportunities might come your way through networking or job seeking? If you were to stay in your current role, could you take action to increase the probability of getting a pay increase, promotion, or meeting more influential people? Could you expand your role to learn new skills, be challenged, and be more fulfilled? Let's take this idea one step further. If your goal is to be financially stable, then you could consider whether working a 9 to 5 is the only way to achieve this. If there is something you are good at and passionate about, then you could think about creating a product or service that gives you an equal and potentially increased source of revenue down the line. There is also an option to consider both the 9 to 5 and a passion project or side hustle. I have personally taken this path in various junctures of my life, where I have stayed in a role that is comfortable, where I know my routine, and I have been able to build on my passions for financial reward on the side. There are always possibilities. Your thinking does not need to be binary. Conclusion. What you're supposed to do now. 1. Reflect. Assessing your life choices to date can be an uncomfortable exercise, especially if you are feeling overwhelmed underwhelmed, or confused. Admitting that you might have been plodding down the wrong path can be scary, but it can also be liberating. No one wants to feel like they have wasted time. Some of my clients come to me frustrated because they have been focusing on a career that is no longer challenging and rewarding. I have also spoken to numerous founders who continue to invest time and energy in their startup when they are no longer passionate about their vision and their relationships with co-founders are strained. Many people I speak to spend time investing in relationships that offer no value, reward, or are a drain of energy. To successfully course correct, it is necessary to reflect on all areas of your life: money, career, and relationships. 2. Get back your agency. Everything in life is a choice. You could argue that there is no such thing as free will, but that's a whole other chapter. Stop being paralyzed by fear and find the courage to adjust your life's trajectory. Become empowered by quality information and remember that knowledge is only power if you act on it. 3. Accept that nothing is perfect. No model can ever perfectly represent the complexities of real-world scenarios. This is where the ideology that useful is better than perfect is useful. As a Stoic would say, focus on what you can control and not on what you cannot. The value of mental models is to be able to act decisively despite imperfect knowledge. 4. Focus on what you can control. I use mental models and systems to minimize stress in my life. I do not enjoy working in unpredictable and unreliable environments. And whether I am working for an organization or for myself, I immediately put in the right governance and frameworks to ensure that there are repeatable ways of working and processes that give me my desired outcomes. This minimizes the areas in my life that are out of my control, so long as other people who are part of the process have agreed to follow it or buy into it in corporate speak. On a day-to-day basis, I use time blocking to make progress on priority tasks so that no matter what comes my way, I use my strategic block to do the needle-pushing tasks and a buffer block to deal with inevitable life stuff. 5. Switch lanes. Quote, stop being lazy with your thinking and falling victim to inertia. Inertia, the tendency to do nothing or to remain unchanged. We have all been guilty of riding on the tails of life every now and again. We go with the status quo and take the path where the wind blows us. It's all part of growing up and learning. But it is not necessary. Just because everybody does it does not mean that it's the right thing to do. It's those outliers that do not fall into the inertia phenomenon, were the Bill Gates and the Elon Musks of this world. They regularly reassess their priorities without fear of change. So, take a moment to sit back and close your eyes. Imagine you have arrived at the destination that fills you with the most joy, and ask yourself, what decisions did I make to get here? The end.